Alright, welcome to favorite Pokemon picker or whatever. Uh, it's the really big one. Uh, I haven't done one of these before, so we're gonna do it. Because I don't know what else I want to make for a video today, and I need to upload one like as soon as possible. That said, this looks like it's gonna be a long one, but whatever. Starting with Gen 1 normal type. This one for me is pretty easy. A lot of people like Snorlax, but I'm going with Eevee because I love Eevee. And for me personally, this is just an easy decision here. Then we go with fire types. This one is a lot harder because I love Charizard, I love Arcanine, and I love Ninetales. All three of them. Ironic to follow up loving Eevee with excluding Flareon from that, but I mean, Flareon is pretty fucking bad. I once did an Evolutions draft for like an off-season draft league, and holy shit, it's 130 attack and guts you would think would be actually usable, but no, holy shit, it's bad. But yeah, it's really hard to decide. Charizard used to be like my fifth favorite Pokemon of all time, and I'm not sure that's still the case now. Ninetales, I have a series that I tried to make. I was going to make a video where I beat Pokemon Emerald with 6 specific Pokemon that I've never used before in like a legit run. And my starter was not Vulpix, and the Ninetales pretty much just solo carried the run. Never made that video because I lost the first several hours of footage. I had the rest of it, but like, yeah, that video is probably never going to see the light of day. And then Arcanine, I used the shit out of this in VGC stuff. Very, very good. Love Arcanine as well. I think I'm going to go with Charizard, not to be like super Gen 1er about it, but I don't think Ninetales and Arcanine have overtaken Charizard in that slot. They've sort of like split the difference as far as like my favorability growing towards them is concerned. So like I can't say one or the other beats Charizard there. For water types, this one is also pretty easy for me. It's Blastoise, and this is because something not a lot of people know about me is that my first Pokemon was not Espeon and Umbreon in Coliseum. It was actually Squirtle when I first played Pokemon Red when I was 4 years old on the Game Boy. And so yeah, that's uh, 2 starters, but will that remain the case for the grass types? Yes, actually, it will. I don't really like a lot of the Gen 1 grass types. It's just a layup for the starter trio. I mean, they're just, as far as I'm concerned, they're peak Gen 1 Mons in these categories here. And skipping on over to Poison real quick. It's probably also going to be Venusaur, actually. I don't want to double up on stuff, but I'm going to do that if it ends up just being the truth. And I don't think I have a particularly strong feeling for the Nido line or any of these. It's going to be Venusaur a second time. And the funny thing is, I don't particularly care for Venusaur. It's just that everything around these categories here are just so low that I just don't care. Moving on to the electric type, it's Jolteon for me, honestly. It's between Jolteon and Zapdos because I don't particularly care for Pikachu or Raichu or the Magnemite line, or Electabuzz, or Electrode, or Voltorb. I just, easy one for Jolteon. I'm, again, kind of like Venusaur and Blastoise. I'm not particularly fond of them. I do like them. There's just nothing else to take that slot. For the ice type, it's easily Lapras. There's only 5 options. I hate Jinx. I don't really care for Dugong or Cloyster. Articuno I've never really used except for like messing around with the Blizz spam in VGC recently. Shout out to Ronaldo. He was doing it before it got huge. Um, but Lapras is going to be it for me. I like Lapras. It's not like it hasn't really held up to this day, but like I do love Lapras in some regard. Moving on, fighting types. I don't particularly care for any of these at all, but I'm going to go with Hitmonlee out of these. Mostly just because it's the most similar to me with flexible, strong legs. As far as like combat is concerned, that's pretty much the only thing I have going for me. I definitely can't throw hands. I'm not a strong boy. Don't really care for Poliwrath, and I'm not like an angry monkey most of the time. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not really strong. I don't have a strong feeling about that one. Moving on to the ground types, I also don't really have any strong attachment to these at all. I guess actually really hard to decide here. In Pokemon Yellow, I'm using Like on the 3DS, I picked up Pokemon Yellow and Crystal before the eShop went down. And I've used a Nidoking and a Nidoqueen, and I've given them all nicknames. I'm not doing a Nuzlocke, but I'm sort of trying to view it as like a pseudo Nuzlocke to try and just get closer to Mons I don't really use. I'm actually going to go with Marowak for similar reasons as I lingered on Ninetales earlier, because oh, come on. Okay, there we go. I did not want those blue bars just sitting here the whole time. Anyways, Marowak was one of the Mons that I used in that run that I mentioned earlier, that I haven't made the video on and will probably never see the light of day. It also sucks because like my editing software is HitFilm, and this computer is not capable of opening large video files in it if it even launches the video editor at all. So that video is probably just dead. And I recorded it like years ago. It was like 2 or 3 years ago at this point. I was still living with my parents at the time, so it's been a while. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Marowak just because like it's the closest I got to one of these Gen 1 ground types. For the flying type category, it's gonna be Charizard again, just like Venusaur, doubling up on the secondary typing. I just don't really care as much. I've gotten a little closer with Dragonite as a result of Gen 9 VGC and spamming Terra Normal, Choice Band, Extreme Speed, and stuff, but or the Assault Vest set that I was using, but yeah, it's just easy layup for Charizard there. Moving on to Psychic types, I'm not close with the Alakazam line, and I'm kind of spiteful towards it because it makes Espeon worse. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's between Mew and Mewtwo here, and between the two, I'll take Mewtwo. Moving on, Bug type. I'm gonna go ahead and it's between Butterfree and Scyther for me, and I don't really care much for either. But I love using Confusion with Butterfree whenever I'm stuck in a Gen 1 run, and I've got to beat Brock, and I picked Charmander, so I gotta have some answer for Brock. Most people find themselves just using Confusion with Butterfree. But I really like Kleavor, as far as bug types are concerned. It's quickly become one of my favorite bug types, so I guess I'll go with Scyther just by proxy of that. Moving on to the rock types, I guess I gotta scroll over here. Let me just grab that. Boom. Alright. It's another one where I don't really care for any of them. I guess I'll go with Aerodactyl though, because I did briefly try using it in Draft League, and it wasn't bad. It just wasn't quite where it needs to be. For Ghost, I'm just gonna go with Gengar. I know a lot of people prefer Haunter, but I know somebody whose favorite Pokemon is Haunter. And for me, I just go with the fully evolved there. And then Dragon, same principle applies. I mentioned how I've gotten somewhat closer to Dragonite recently because of VGC, and that's definitely going to be the case here. Dark isn't one. I'll definitely go with Missing No out of these 6 weird glitches and rough, like different non-Pokemon sprites. I guess just because they put it there. Like, I remember getting Missing No, so just hacking and modding your game. Steel types, moving on. Here, we'll go ahead and go with Clefairy. Yeah, we'll go with Clefairy. I don't care for Mr. Mime. I don't care for the Jigglypuff line. I don't care for the Clefairy line, but, like, at least Clefairy is, like, a mon that I've entertained the idea of using in competitive. Starter, Eevee. Just kidding. We're actually going to go with Charizard here. For a 3rd Charizard appearance. I don't know what else to say. Like, I prefer Charizard out of the 3 of them. It's not a strong preference, but it is a preference that I have. It did used to be my 5th favorite Pokemon of all time. It might still be. It's not as strong as a pick for that slot anymore. Gimmick form. Boy, we got Megas and Dynamaxes to go through. I did not actually ever use a Gigantamax Eevee, so it would be... I mean, it's fluffy and adorable, and I like it, but... I didn't really prep anything in advance. I don't have, like, a list ready to go, so a lot of these I'm just going to be bullshitting on the spot, just coming up with as I go. Personally, I think out of these... my preference is probably Mega Charizard Y. It might not be the best out of them, but like I think that's what I'm gonna go with here. And so Charizard gets several slots here. My favorite legend out of these 5, it's probably Mewtwo. And my favorite Gen 1 Mon here, yeah, like I said already, it's probably I'm allowed to pick the Megas too. Yeah, I'll probably go with Mega Charizard Y then. Just because like I like setting up with Dragon Dance sweeping, so I'm not gonna pretend that it's an easy pick over Charizard X, and it might change in the future. But like I just like the idea of spamming the fire types in the sun and stuff. Moving on to Generation 2. Out of the normal types we've got here, we got the Furret line, Noctowl, Igglybuff is immediately eliminated. Don't really care for Apom. I'm not a Dunsparce stan, no offense. Porygon 2, Stantler, Smeargle, Miltank, Blissey. I think I'm going to go with Furret, actually. And the reason for this is Coliseum. I remember getting Espeon and Umbreon maxed out to level 100, but not in my original playthrough. In my original playthrough, Espeon and Umbreon were the 2 strongest Pokemon on the team. The third was Furret. I got that to level 77, and was it good? Of course not, but I was using it. Here we've got some good hitters. The weakest among them is Magby. We're going to forget you exist here. I actually kind of like Macargo. It's not my favorite by any means, but I kind of like it actually, even though it sucks. For the same reason as I mentioned with Furret earlier, I always sort of liked it for whatever reason when I was playing Coliseum as a kid. Never really used it more than the one time, for obvious reasons. Typhlosion, love it. Entei, might be my pick here. Houndoom is a good doggo. I'm not particularly close to Ho-Oh. Between Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I got Soul Silver. And I do have at least one, I think 2 gold cartridges, but they're both dead, so I never got to Ho-Oh, because every time I would like have a run going, the cartridge would just like delete my save file, which sucks. So I'm gonna go with Typhlosion here. Water from Generation 2. This one is a much easier pick. It's Suicune. In Draft League, when I was still learning how to be good at draft many years ago, I ended up running Suicune and all the Crocoon sets and all that, you know, and I had a really good MVP run. Didn't quite make it, but got close and it pretty much just carried my season. I friggin' love Suicune. It's just majestic, and I'm looking forward to finally getting around to playing that digital copy of Crystal that I got on my 3DS. The thing is, I kind of want to do like a blind playthrough of Crystal. I remember having like classmates in like elementary school with Crystal, and I was super jealous. And then I found a $35 copy of Crystal at my local game store, and I didn't have money at the time, so I couldn't buy it. And now a working copy of Crystal is like $100 or some shit. It's like, goddamn. Yeah, Suicune, love it. Grass types, Meganium. Here's the controversial opinion here. My favorite Gen 2 starter is actually the Chikorita line. I know it sucks. It's by far one of the worst starter Pokemon of all time to this day. I just always found it absolutely adorable. I remember my first interaction or observations of this line was Bayleaf loving Ash and just being all snuggly and shit in the Master Quest series, I think. Yeah, haven't changed my opinion on it. It might be absolute dog shit when it comes to actually battling, but every time I'm doing a Gen 2 run, I always pick Chikorita, Meganium, and Bayleaf. They're adorable, and I love them. You don't have to be competitively viable to be my favorite Pokemon, and that is still true to this day. Out of these electric types, it's Raikou. Easily Raikou. Not picking Entei for fire was a really hard choice there. It's not that difficult here. I mean, I like the Mareep line. I want to give Lantern a shot, but like Raikou is by far and above the better of them. Moving on to the ice type of Gen 2, we've got Smoochum, Delibird, Piloswine, Swinub, and Sneasel. I don't particularly care for any of these, but I think I'm going to go with Piloswine just because you can catch it as a shadow in Coliseum, and it's like, I think it has soft sand, and like, you can get Earthquake on it. Like, a lot of people probably went with Sneasel here, though. It's probably the favorite among other people, but I'm going to go with Piloswine just because I don't really care for any of them. Moving on to fighting, I'm going to go with Hitmontop. Tyrogue is super forgetful, even though there's 3 Hitmons it evolves into. Like, for the most part, you've gotten a Hitmon top, Lee, and Chan without having to get Tyrogue first. Tyrogue is just one of those baby Pokemon you never really need unless you're trying to complete your decks. And so the only competitor for this slot is Heracross, which, Heracross, good, like it, but never really used it, even as a Mega. Hitmontop, Intimidator, Fake Out. You know, I've used this before and had some success with it. You know, Wolf won the World Championships with it. You know, out of these 4 poison types, it's Crobat. Like, just super easily, it's Crobat. It's not the greatest Pokemon of all time, but it's super fast and it's super usable. And it's super easy to get if you just, like, increase your friendship with it, which is, like, something I love doing in runs. Especially with Espeon and Umbreon needing to requiring friendship to evolve. It's super easy to fulfill when Zubats are everywhere. Moving on to ground types. And it's actually going to be Quagsire for this slot. Not the water slot, but the ground slot here. Another Coliseum Mon that I remember, it's definitely more fondly than Piloswine. Larvitar isn't really up there for me. I don't care for Steelix. You know, just a derpy boy who likes to sit there, absorb damage, and do status moves and shit. Alright, flying type of the generation. I don't think I have to think too hard about this one. I do like Noctowl. I was using Murkrow at the start of VGC Gen 9 with all the Prankster Tailwind shenanigans. Skarmory's always been good. I've always liked it. I just mentioned Crobat. I've always wanted to get more use out of the Jumpluff line. I did start Scarlet with my casual playthrough trying to get a Hoppip which I nicknamed Cream. Yes, after the rap song, just replace Cash with Cotton, if you get the joke there, which you probably do. You probably have modern intelligence. I'm going to go with Lugia, though, just because I always remembered really liking Lugia as a kid. Pokemon XD Gelf Darkness. I don't really say much more about that. Moving on, Psychic. Yeah, this one's pretty easy for me. My favorite 2 Pokemon of all time, Espeon, and we'll go ahead and put in Umbreon there. It's not a competition. These are my favorite 2 Pokemon of all time. I've already mentioned Coliseum. That's why. Moving on. My favorite bug type from Generation 2. Definitely Scizor. I mean, it's probably the case for a lot of other people too. I mentioned Scyther earlier. While I'm not particularly close to Scyther, it evolves into Scizor, and then I'm going to bring back the Cleavor conversation later. My favorite rock type. This is easily Tyranitar. If Tyranitar weren't here, it would actually go to Magcargo. So second favorite rock type of Gen 2, Magcargo. But yeah, I don't think I need to explain Tyranitar to any of you. Moving on. Only one goes to Gen 2. Cool, congratulations, Mr. Viz. I caught you as a shadow in Pokemon Coliseum, and hey, Flutterman exists now. Congratulations on getting a busted Paradox Mon. Kingdra. I mean, I like Kingdra. When I first got interested in playing in VGC, it was 2010, and I watched, all the water stuff. It was like the Japanese Nationals or something on my Nintendo Wii's YouTube app, and it was like in 144p, but I was like, whoa, I want to do that. And for the past 14, 15 years, I have been unable to do that, because in order to do that, you need to be able to have access to transportation and money to go to events, and I am stranded in the middle of like rural backwoods northern Michigan without transportation. I did have a car for like a year and a half, but it was dog shit. It broke down all the time. Probably wouldn't safely get me anywhere. Nobody wanted to go. I couldn't even pay somebody to give me a ride. Yeah. But, just a little spiel about Kingdra. It was in the video. I don't remember who was running it or what, but it was in the video. Alright, Steel type. It's between Skarmory and Scizor, and I think we're going to give it to Skarmory just because I don't have a strong preference for one over the other, and I've already got Scizor on the list as a favorite bug, so we'll go ahead and throw Skarmory there. Again, Shadow Pokemon, Coliseum, opening cutscene, it's the first thing you see. All right, fairy types. See if I can scroll over here. It's between Granbull and Azumarill here for me. I don't have particularly strong feelings about Cleffa or Igglybuff or Togepi or Togetic. I think we'll go with Azumarill just because like belly drum sweep looks more fun than decent attack and intimidate ability, but like, yeah. Yep, I already mentioned earlier, controversial opinion. I love the starter Meganium. I'm not going to apologize for that. Gimmick form out of these 6. Ooh. This is a hard one. I'm going to go with Houndoom just because of its design. I didn't get to go with Houndoom as fire or dark earlier, but I really wanted to just point it out. One of my family's Danes, I would love to get one of those Houndoom costumes that I've seen on the internet and just put it on him. I think it would really, really, really look good on him. Big Chungus. Favorite legend, Suicune. Pretty easy there. My favorite is both Espeon and Umbreon, but you can't do 2, so I guess I'll just go alphabetical and pick Espeon here. And then if there's another one where it would split the difference between the 2, I'll go with Umbreon. Give it his turn. Alright, my favorite normal type from Generation 3. This is easily Swellow, and it's probably going to be Rayquaza in the flying slot over here. But out of the normal types, yeah, it's actually Swellow. In my original save file for Pokemon Emerald, the first time I played through it, it was my strongest Pokemon, actually. Level 93, I think it got to level 94 before my younger brother stole the cartridge and erased my save file, and I lost probably the most playtime on any single video game save file that I had ever had. I had maxed out the time, and definitely played for 3 times as long. So, yeah, that sucked, but I remember being able to 2-hit KO Skarmory's with Aerial Ace, which I don't think should be possible, but it happened. I remember observing it happen, so that's pretty cool. As far as my favorite fire type from Generation 3 is concerned, I mean, this is easily Blaziken. I never really used it because I'm always picking Sceptile. Yeah, behind Rayquaza, Espeon, and Umbreon, my favorite Pokemon of all time is Sceptile. Doesn't really hold up in competitive, but that's fine. Alright, moving on to water type. We got a lot of good options here. I've never really used Swampert either for the same reason that I just mentioned. Blaziken's not really up there. It's just sort of a default option here. I kind of like Walrein and the whole line, but I've never really had a chance to use it. Milotic's always goated. Wailord's pretty cool. It's basically just probably Kyogre here, to be honest with you. Not because I don't like Swampert. I like Swampert. I just, again, haven't really used it. Kyogre, most people who've tried competitive Pokemon for even half a second know, you know. I don't need to explain that to you. Electric type, easily Manectric. I feel like a lot of people will agree. Although Plus and Minor are pretty cute, they get to be mascots in a lot of games, like Pokemon Ranger, so I would understand if you have a conflicting opinion there. Ice types, it's Regice or Walrein, and so I'm going to go with Walrein. Favorite Gen 3 Ice type. I want to use it more, and so I have a fresh Alpha Sapphire save that I'm casually playing through in the background, and I made sure that Spheal was one of my 6 Pokemon on my team that I'm going to try and stick with throughout the entire run. Fighting type. It's actually a little competitive here. I like Hariyama, I like Medicham, I like Breloom, and I like Blaziken. I don't really have a preference for any of them, so I'm going to rule out Blaziken since I already went with it for fire type. I pick up Hariyama a lot, but I think I'm going to go with Medicham just because I've always really, really wanted to use Medicham. It gets pure power or huge power access, which obviously doubles its physical attack. It's part psychic type, which I always thought was really cool, just have fighting psychic combination. In Generation 3 mechanics, that doesn't really work too well. But still, Breloom is really cool. I just never really used it myself. Leech Seed, Mach Punch, Substitute, Spore, all that stuff. It's good, but I don't really have any personal experience really caring about it. Alright, moving on. We got Roselia, Gulpin, Swalot, Seviper, and Dustox. I don't really care for any of these. Although I have briefly used Dustox in like casual playthroughs. I'm gonna pick Seviper here just because it looks cool, and everybody remembers it from like Gen 3 Team Rocket Jesse's. Yeah, moving on. Ground type. It's between Groudon and Flygon really here, and I think I'm gonna go with Flygon. Not because I think it's better or anything, but just because, like, you know, the levitating dragon bug, well, should be bug, but the bug that goes from Trapinch into a majestic dragon, which has sadly been infinitely power crept. Yeah, let's give some love to Flygon. As I mentioned earlier, I would like to put Swallow here, but it's absolutely. Oh, Shadow Lugia as an option? Really? I'm still gonna go with Rayquaza. I mean, just look at my channel name. Behind Espeon and Umbreon, it's just my favorite of all time. It's got Quasar in the name. Like, it's the space dragon that just, like, mega ovals and shit. Like, it's a layup for Rayquaza here. Moving on to Psychic of Generation 3 specifically. Now, this is one where I could go with Shadow Lugia here. Latias and Latios are pretty cool. Metagross has always been... hang on, I got hair in my mouth. Gross. Metagross has always been really badass. I do like Claydol enough, and I like Metacham. I'm not a fan of Grumpig's line. Shadow Lugia or Metagross? I think I'm going to go with Metagross here. And it's not by a lot. If you would have asked me as like a kid, it would have been a much easier decision. Yeah, moving on. My favorite bug type of the generation. This is an interesting one. I don't have a strong preference for any of these, but I mean, I have wanted to try and use Masquerain because it's got like Quiver Dance, Tailwind, and Intimidate. That said, I think it's probably Shedinja here. I've never really used it myself, but like, it's definitely the most interesting of the bugs. Although I do like Armaldo enough to try it, it's going to be Shedinja for now. Moving on to rock types. Definitely between Cradily and Aggron here. I had a little Lairon figure as a kid. I think I still have it laying around somewhere. That said, I remember trying to do like a huge randomizer, and one of my mons was an Aggron that I named after a magic card. I went with Ariel, like the Knight of Windgrace or whatever. I just was stumped to figure out like a good nickname for her, and went with that. Cradily is pretty cool. I like Drain and stuff, but we're gonna go with Aggron for the rock type. Moving on, ghost types. I did run a Mega Bandit in a draft league once. Don't really care for any of them though. I did just give Shedinja the bug slot. I guess I could go with Bandit here, just by proxy of like being a ghost type that I have used, at least. For Dragon type, we're doubling up, and it's Rayquaza again. Moving on from there, Absol. I love Mightyena, but Absol is one of my top 10 favorite Pokemon of all time. It's probably in my top 6. I'm not sure if that'll be the case at the end when we get down there, but love Absol. Going to be Metagross over Aggron here for the Steel type. For the Fairies, I like Mega Mawile. I'm not really fond of its base form. We're going to go with Gardevoir just by default here. Starter, Sceptile. I already alluded to it earlier. Favorite gimmick form, it's going to be Mega Rayquaza. Although I absolutely love how many Pokemon got cool Megas. Sceptile, obviously, my favorite starter. Got this Dragon and all the power buff there, although it's still not very good. I still love it. Mega Manectric, Mega Absol, just like the Thunder Lion and the wolf-like Pokemon. We got Mega Metagross, Mega Salamence, just basically everything in Generation 3 as far as Mega's concerned. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, for the most part, more of a hit than a miss. Mega Rayquaza though. Mega Sceptile being like the follow-up here, and then followed up by Absol in third. Favorite legend, wow, would you look at that? It's Rayquaza for the 4th time in this row. And then my favorite, already alluded to it, it's Rayquaza. So 5 slots going to Rayquaza in Generation 3. Alright, moving on to Generation 4. We've got the normal type. I'm going to go ahead and go with Staraptor. I could go with Arceus here, but I'm not too attached to the actual god of Pokemon. I prefer Rayquaza between the two. Yeah, just Staraptor. I don't think I need to explain Staraptor to any of you. For the fire type, I'm actually going to go with a controversial opinion and go with Heatran. I've always kind of liked it. Just the fire steel typing was pretty cool. It's always been competitively viable. And I remember like hearing the route theme heading up to Stark Mountain, not the Stark Mountain theme itself, but like, what's it called? Route 129 or something? You can like Google it, and there's like the smooth jazz remix. There's the Vanillix Pavilion remix that I like. Just really cool. All right, water type from Generation 4. This isn't as easy as you might think because I do like Gastrodon. I've never really gotten to use Empoleon, but I like it. And Lumineon, while a completely forgettable and unusable pile of dog shit, I remember using one as like my HM slave when I was first playing Pokemon Pearl, which was my first Gen 4 game, even though I lost that save file a long time ago. All things considered, Rotom Wash cool, Manaphy and all that stuff. It's going to be the titular mon of Pokemon Pearl, Palkia. Water Dragon, just really good Pokemon all around. It's worthy of the title of Legendary, even if it's a little underpowered thanks to power creep and stuff. Like, it's still just a really good Pokemon all around. Say what you will about the shoulder and the head making a certain shape. I like it. Moving on. This is not an easy decision for me here because I've got to go between the adorable Shaman Sky or Torterra, which is my favorite starter this generation. And since it's not an easy decision to make, I'll go ahead and go with Shaman Sky here, and then we will scroll on over to starter and just prematurely go ahead and put Torterra in there as my favorite. Even though it's not the best, even with Shell Smash, it's still not very good. I just love it. Moving on to electric, I think I'm losing my voice here. I don't have anything to drink right now. Moving on to electric types from Generation 4, I think this one's going to go with this one's going to go to Luxray. Very similar theme here going on. Four-legged, wolf, dog, cat like electric type. I like that sort of theme, and it's probably going to continue all the way down the line. Continuing to ice types, this one's Glaceon easily. I don't really have a beef with Mamoswine or Rotom Frost. I use Rotom Frost a lot in draft because it's easy to get, like, it's got like the bolt beam coverage of electric and ice. You got Volt Switch to pivot with it, and Rotom forms are always like decently bulky. I mean, the 50 HP isn't great, but like, you know, Frostlass, Weavile. I mean, Weavile's really, really good actually, but I don't really care for it myself personally, and so I've lost out on all that power and speed. Abomasnow, I don't have anything for or against. I did run the Blizz Spam team, I mentioned earlier, but it's Glaceon. When I first played Pokemon Pearl, I got Glaceon over Leafeon, and while it's not the greatest, it didn't disappoint me in a casual playthrough, so yeah. Moving on. Fighting type of Gen 4 is easily Lucario. Since I'm not like a huge fan of Infernape, I know most people are, and it's not an invalid opinion at all. It's probably the correct decision, honestly, with how overused Lucario is in like the show and the card game and everything, but honestly, I just love Lucario. Just the idea that you can run like a special attacking set, a mixed attacking set, you can run Swords Dance, Extreme Speed, Aura's Fear, Force Palm, like basically you could hand me any Lucario and I would be happy. Like, no matter how bad, quote-unquote, the set is, like, I'd find a way to use it well, just because it's such a versatile Pokemon. I know it's not good anymore, but, like, I've just always liked Lucario, and I will not apologize for that. Also, Lucario and the Mystery of Mew, one of the better movies to this day. Moving on to Poison types, it's Roserade, Skuntank, Toxicroak, or Drapion. I am terrified of scorpions in real life, and so I'm thankful I live in a place where they aren't particularly common. And I'm not excited at the prospect of moving somewhere where they are. But yeah, I do think I like Drapion the most out of these four. Its typing is good. It's usable, even though it's slow and not exactly the most powerful or bulkiest mon. I think it's a cool design. Um, so yeah. Moving on to my favorite ground type. It's between Garchomp and Torterra. I kind of want to go with Torterra here, but I think I would be lying if I told you I would say I want Torterra over Garchomp. I think that would be a lie, and I'm not interested in lying to you here. Moving on to flying type, it's between Staraptor and Shaman Sky for me. Um, I've never really had a chance to use Shaman Sky though, and every time I use a Staraptor, I'm usually happy about it. But I really want to use Shaman Sky, so I'm gonna have to go with Shaman Sky just because of like how much I want to use this thing and how much I love it, despite having never really used it. I've put it in 2 slots now. So yeah, we're gonna move on from that now to the Psychic types of Generation 4, and I'm gonna go ahead and just go with Cresselia here. I'm not usually a stall player or a Trick Room player, but just I have fond memories of catching Cresselia in Gen 4 and just like, I mean, just look at how majestic this fucking thing is. As far as Trick Room stuff is concerned, I'm always looking at Bronzong, but I'm not really a Trick Room player myself. So yeah, moving on. Bug types from Generation 4. I quite literally just might go with Cricketune for Whoop memes. I don't really care for any of them, like, at all. I haven't really used Yanmega. When I get it in, like, Rambats on Showdown, I like it. But, like, just, Cricketune sucks, but its design is worthy. The meme's worthy of the attention here, so we'll go ahead and just put that there. I'm never upset by encountering a Cricketune. Rock types. This one is going to be the only place where I'll tell you I like Bastiodon. I've played Pokemon Pearl, so I had Bastiodon instead of Rampardos. And again, I know how bad it is. Doesn't matter. I like its derpy little design with the plate face. It's like Zamazenta at home, at home, at home, at home. In that regard, and so we'll go with that. Moving on, ghost types. I'm going to go with Giratina Renegade form. I never owned Platinum, and I still don't to this day, so I've never gotten to play it. I always wanted to, but again, I got Pokemon Pearl. My family was not wealthy, so I didn't get to like buy the new version next year. The same story with Black and White 2. I got the black cartridge, and then I lost it, and my parents were like, "We're not getting you Black and White 2. You just got Black last year." Like, it's a completely different game, but you know. Same principle applies here, unfortunately. Going with the Dragon type of Generation 4. This one's actually a hard one because I like all of these sort of equally. I probably prefer Dialga to Palkia, even though I didn't really get to use it. I did get Shining, Brilliant Diamond. Yeah, Brilliant Diamond. I've already forgotten the fucking name of the games. I think I'm gonna go with Dialga, just because everything else has gotten a turn here. We've got Garchomp for the ground type. The water type is Palkia. The ghost type is Giratina. So like we'll give the slot here to Dialga. Dark types. I'll go ahead and go with Darkrai. Haven't really gotten to using Darkrai a lot, but like Darkrai is by far cooler than all of these combined. And everybody remembers how hype it was, Sceptile versus Darkrai. Yeah, Sceptile's badass moment is not there without Darkrai being a badass opponent. For Steel type of Generation 4, we're going to go with Lucario again. I do prefer it to Heatran. Trying to scroll here. Alright, we're at the end anyways. Fairy type. I don't have a strong preference here, but this one is easily Togekiss because I don't like Mime Jr. No offense to Mime Jr., but also full offense to Mime Jr. Megas. Mega Garchomp infamously gets worse when it Mega evolves. Mega Abomasnow is Lucario is really cool, and you always got one like for free in X and Y, and I was never unhappy about it. I was never like, no, I want to earn it. Like, no, give me all the free megas. Free Mega Lucario with adaptability stab. Fuck yeah. Gallade is cool, you know, Seto Kaiba shit. And I'd love to meme about, like, the fucking Playboy bunny wearing lingerie in the kids' game, but, like, yeah, it goes to Lucario here. Third Lucario pick. Favorite legend out of these, it's going to be Shaman Sky again. Just because, like, I fucking love how adorable this thing is so much. And then for the favorite, out of all of them, it's Lucario, I think. There was definitely a time where it would have been Torterra, but it's Lucario. Lucario is just so cool, and that's all I got to say about that. Entering Gen 5 now. Generation 5 used to be a generation that I hated, but it wasn't for the pushes up glasses, Game Freak is running out of ideas reasons. It was because I was just salty that I didn't get to play. I had my Pokemon Black cartridge for my 13th birthday, I think. I don't think that's correct. I think it was the next year, 14th birthday. I had it for 29 days or so, and then I lost it. My sister claims to have buried it in the backyard, but that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because the story of me losing it was I had it in my DS. I walked out of my bedroom. I turned on the console, walked down this hallway that's like 6 feet tall, like 6 feet long. It's shorter than I am tall. And then it said, please insert a game cartridge in the DS slot. Or there is no DS cartridge inserted into the slot. And that was really funny because I had just put it in there and observed it being in there, and it didn't like catapult out onto the floor or anything. And I checked the floor and it wasn't there. And it's just vanished into thin air. And then I would not be able to play a Generation 5 game until COVID, which was about a decade. So, yeah, I don't have any super strong opinions for the most part about Gen 5 mons, since I'm not super attached to them. What is this the lower half of a Reizu from Legends Arceus? What is this? Not important. Anyway, looking at the normal types here from Generation 5, what the fuck? What the fuck? What is this? I'm gonna go with Stoutland just because I love dogs. If you make a dog Pokemon, odds are I'm gonna like it. Fire type from Generation 5. Some decent candidates here. I don't really like Emboar. Not a fan of the big, slow, fat pig. Chandelure's Dees. I think it's Reshiram for me. Just because like I like its weird design, and Fire Dragon was super cool at the time. And I haven't really changed my opinion on that. I don't feel strongly about it, but it's definitely above the rest for me. Water types. Not really excuse me. Not really a huge fan of Samurott or Seismitoad or any of these. But I did always want to use Keldeo. I'm going to go with the Resolute form. Moving on. That's really all I have to say about that. I've always wanted to use one. I did get to use one in draft a little bit, but I didn't really use it well. My team was kind of shit. That's all I really have to say about it. I think my favorite starter is Superior, not because it's good. Like, you need Contrary Leaf Storm or it's just dog shit. And so in my casual playthroughs, I think I benched my my Superior in Black 2. I think it was Black 2? Yeah, it was Black 2. I would like to get White and White 2 someday, but those cost a lot of money right now, and I don't even have like $70 in the bank right now, towards the end of the month here. So, yeah, unfortunately, not going to make that happen anytime soon. But anyways, this isn't about that. This is about my favorite Gen 5 grass type, and it's really hard to say that it's actually superior here. I prefer using Ferrothorn in draft, and I think Virizian's design is cool. I always liked it, even though its like stats are kind of like wonky combined with its moveset. It's not very good. Probably gonna go ahead and say Superior just because of its design as like a regal snake and it's being a starter. No, I'm actually going to go with Verzion here. I can't bring myself to do that. Favorite electric type from Gen 5. This is going to probably break the pattern of four-legged electric types, because I don't care for Zebstrika too much, and that's pretty much the only option. I don't feel strongly for Galvantula or the electric line. It's probably going to be Zekrom, even though I've never really used it. Just because I prefer it to Thundurus Therian, although I do like Thundurus Therian and I've tried using it before. Moving on to ice types. Kyurem base form isn't really interesting to me, but the fusions are really cool. I think I'm going to go with White Kyurem. I want to use it soon, but like I said previously, I don't have White 2, and I haven't given it a spin yet. So that's subject to change. As far as the fighting types are concerned, they're okay, most of them, but I'm probably going to go with Keldeo a second time, just because this little, like, reindeer-looking horse, it's just cute and looks strong, so we're going to go with that. Favorite poison type? I think I'm going to go with Amoonguss here. I haven't really used it in competitive a whole lot. Like, when I do use it, it's good. Of course it is. But it's not really my play style to slowly put things to sleep and redirect stuff, which just, outs me as a bad player. That's fine. Ground type, gotta be honest, it's Landorus Therian. As far as circling right back to competitive, I like clicking Rock Slide and Earthquake and just not having to think about it too much sometimes, cycling Intimidate, all that jazz. Going with the flying types. Yeah, Unfezant's so bad. I think I'm going to have to go with Landorus Therian a second time. Psychic types. The only one I really like out of any of these is Victini. I do want to give, like, Gothitelle Perish Trap stuff a try sometime. What the hell is Bryson Man doing here? Whatever. Moving on. Bug types. This is actually probably my favorite bug type, at least until Cleavor came out, is Volcarona. I've always liked moths. Some people are like, ew, moth, and, like, icky. But, like, for whatever reason, I've always liked, like, moths for some reason, because they don't, like, bite me or anything. I know they eat clothes, but I've never really been, like, grossed out by moths or anything. I might feel different if I was in the same room as a Cecropia moth, but, like, I think they're cool. I'm not gonna lie. I think they're pretty cool. And, like, Firebug, Quiver Dance stuff, Rage Powder, Redirection. I know I alluded to not using it really. And that's still true. I don't really use the Redirect, Rocky Helmet, Flame Body, Volcarona, but I mean, I like Volcarona. It's one of the few bug types that I actually feel somewhat strongly about. And for bug types to make me feel that way is really saying something. Rock types, it's going to be Terrakion here. I don't really care for the rest of these at all. Although what I will say is that I remember doing, like, the one time I had a group of people to play Pokemon with, there was a Generation Cup tournament, and I did not have time to build a team. So my natures were dog shit. It was during Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, I think. My natures were dog shit. My movesets were dog shit. My IVs and EVs were dog shit. And I still, like, placed well within the tournament. I think I was 3-2, or maybe it was only 4 rounds and I went 2-2. But the fact that I picked up some wins largely has to do with me being able to set up Shell Smash with Crustle. That said, it's Terrakion here by a long shot. I don't know why I clicked on it after that little story there. So honorable mention to Crustle, but it's Terrakion. Just being I haven't used the beat up strategies with Whimsicott, Terracott, but, like, it's really strong with that fighting Rock Stab and all that. And I don't think I need to explain it to anyone who's used it before. It's one of the Swords of Justice, and I like the sword stuff. I've always liked swords and shit, despite my recent viewing of Vinland Saga Season 2 and the whole "a true warrior needs no sword" thing. Like, I do love swords. And so, yeah, Terrakion is easily the winner there. And I don't normally care for rock types, Tyranitar being an exception. I know I mentioned liking Aggron a lot, but yeah, I don't think that's going to hold up as the list continues, although we might be pleasantly surprised by the end of this. For the ghost types from Generation 5, I'm going to go with Chandelure. I mean, I don't feel strongly about Jellicent. I do want to use the Ferrocent core sometime, but it's Chandelure. Just because base 145, Fire Ghost. Pretty cool. Dragons. I don't feel strongly about Haxorus, although I do like being able to like Dragon Dance, Ironhead, Outrage, whatever. Hydreigon, really cool. I did like using it with Goldango at the earlier formats of Gen 9 here. I think I'm going to go with a Pokemon that I've never used here, which is Kyurem White, just because I like how it looks. Kyurem Black is not bad either. Reshiram's there too. Just some good options, but none that I feel too strongly about, so one that I've never used wins here. Moving on to Dark types. No King Gambit to pick from with Pawniard and Bisharp, so yeah, I don't have strong feelings there. Don't have strong feelings about Liepard, even though I like cats. Got a cute little one sitting right next to me in his own chair. He's adorable. Little Phantom Thief Morgana. Oh yeah, she is so cute. But no, we're not going to pick him for that slot. I think I'm going to go with Hydreigon here. I do really like Zoroark, but I'm not that fond of it. So I'll go with the Draco Meteor Dark Pulse Spam and Hydreigon. Steel types. Friggin' robot Tyrannotars or whatever. What the fuck? This isn't... Whatever. It's kind of hard to pick a favorite out of these, aside from immediately the draw of Cobalion, so I'm going to go with Cobalion. Fairy. I guess I'll go with Whimsicott. I mean, I'll probably use it soon in competitive since it's rising up the ranks, but there's no guarantee on that. As I look for a sort of new team, I'm super stoked that Umbreon placed third at Los Angeles. I have been a huge Umbreon believer, and I've had success with it in every format of Generation 9, not just the restricted formats. It's always good, and I don't care about what other people have to say about it. You're underrating Umbreon in other formats. You're sleeping on it constantly, and that's what's letting me win with it. Anyway, it's nice to see Umbreon get the credit it deserves, but yeah, anyway, moving on. Favorite starter. Nominally contrary Leaf Storm spam superior. Moving on. Gimmicks. Jesus Christ, this is an abomination of random sprites that aren't even Pokemon. I guess I'll go with Mega Audino, just because it's the first Mega you get in Pokemon Shuffle, and for no other reason. Legendaries. Let me see here. I guess I'll go with Keldeo here for the nth time. Third, I think. And then my favorite Gen 5 Mon. I'm just really not a huge fan of most Gen 5 Pokemon in general. I mean, it might be Volcarona here. Just because... like I said, I've not really used a lot of these, so I'm not attached to a lot of them. White Kyurem, if I play White 2, will probably take the top slot. I think I'm going to go with Landorus because I've actually used it. Moving on to Gen 6. Normal types. We've got a zillion Furfrou forms. We've got Mega Lopunny because it actually is not from Gen 4, but Gen 6 with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I mean, Pyro's cool. I don't really like any of these options. And Poodles are like among the prissier dogs. Like, they have like a similar temperament to Chihuahuas, so not a fan there. This is actually a pretty tough one to pick. Fletchling is cute. I think I'm going to go with Mega Kangaskhan, honestly. No explanation needed. Favorite fire type of Gen 6? I'm going to sort of exclude Mega Charizards and the Primal Groudon here. and just go strictly like Gen 6 Mons. And out of them, I actually really like Delphox. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and just tell you that Delphox is my favorite starter Pokemon from Gen 6. I know Greninja's there, and some people like Chestnut. I don't care if it's an uncontroversial opinion. Like, the Fire Psychic after we had 3 generations of firefighting, really refreshing. The fact that you didn't need Victini for the Fire and Psychic Stab. I mean, it's not overwhelmingly powerful, and it's going to go down in like 1, maybe 2 hits, but just being able to spam like Flamethrower Psychic, it's just pretty good at sweeping through a game. So, I mean, above base 100 speed and special, good enough for me, especially back at the time, like when that was actually just really good. So yeah, we're gonna go with that. Generation 6 Water type. I kind of like Clauncher and Klawitzer. I get their fucking names mixed up 100% of the time. I don't like Skrelp. Dragalge I think is cool, but Skrelp is just kind of derpy. We're going to exclude the Megas from other gens, and I think Volcarona, though, is really cool. That said, I might give this to Greninja. I mean, I don't really... I'm not particularly fond of Greninja, but I use it more than Volcanion. Slightly more. So we're going to give him the edge there. And also, I think Volcanion's ugly. Like, hang on. God, fucking blue bars. God. How do I make that stop? Okay, there we go. God dang. Yeah, it's 4-legged, which already gives it points in my book, but like, just something about the design just doesn't work for me, you know. I would go with Mega Blastoise or Primal Kyogre here, but we're going to go ahead and pass up on them, just because, like, it's more of a Gen 1 Mega, if that makes any sense, and a Gen 3, so, yeah. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire stuff I sort of put here with Mega Rayquaza. We'll go with Greninja in that slot. Not by a lot. I mean, I know I just said all that, but, like, I do like using Volcanion, so it's definitely the runner-up there. Grass types from Gen 6. I might actually say, you know those rules I just established? Yeah, I don't care about them anymore. I also don't really care for any of these, so I'll go with Mega Manectric in this slot as well. Ice types. This is actually Aurorus for me. I know it's not very good. Rock Ice is not a defensive typing you want to be caught dead or alive with. But I think it's a very beautiful Pokemon, actually. And it's one of the rock types I actually like. Ice types, me liking ice types is also not common. Refrigerate's cool. Just, I really want it to be much more usable than it is. Which is why in a casual playthrough, I'm absolutely going to try and use it as much as I can. I fucking love Aurorus, honestly. It's definitely a sleeper pick for me, the likes of Walrein, you know. Again, I know it's not good, but, you know, I like it. It's not always about competitive viability for me. Moving on to fighting types. This is not a lot of options to work with, and I'm not really a fan of Hawlucha myself. So I guess who's back again? Probably Mega Lucario for this slot. Poison type. This one's going to be Mega Venusaur for me. Moving on to ground type. This one's probably Primal Groudon for me. I'm not a huge fan of Zygarde. Not a huge fan of Swampert either. And we already covered why I don't like Mega Garchomp, even though I will sometimes use it. It won't be because it's better. Flying types. Generation 6. Mega Rayquaza. Psychic types. Generation 6. This is going to be Delphox again. And yeah, I already covered it. Moving on. Bugs. Vivian, Heracross, Scizor, Beedrill, Pinsir. It's going to be Scizor. Mega Scizor. And now from Ice to Rock. I'm going to go with Aurorus again, actually, just because I like it that much. Mega Tyranitar gets Unnerve over Sandstream, and like, I mean, it's not like it's better. It's very good, but like, I don't really feel strongly about any of these. I do feel strongly about Auroras, so good old slot there. I like Aegislash. I do like Aegislash. We're gonna go with the Shield form, even though like I like the Sword form, but like it does not work the same way if you don't have King's Shield in the Shield form. Yeah, I don't really feel strong about the. I am losing my voice quickly, and I still don't have anything to drink. I could get myself a cup of water here, but I'm gonna power through because I don't know if I can even pause the recording. All right, Dragon type from Gen 6. Mega Rayquaza gets another one. Dark type of Gen 6. This is gonna be Mega Absol. It's fucking gorgeous, and I like being able to run the special set on it because it gets a boost to its special attacks. You're like, Absol's a physical attacker, so I don't need to worry about, huh? Did I just get blasted for a 4 times effective Blizzard? Yes, you did. Just Absol's move pool is actually really deep. That's not its issue. Here we got Steel types from Gen 6, and I think... Ooh. I don't think I'm going to go with Aegislash for this one. I think it's between Mega Lucario for a zillionth time and Mega Metagross. I never really got to use Mega Metagross, but I do have memories with Lucario. Expect Mega Metagross to take this slot someday. Moving on to the fairies. Yeah, this one's going to be Xerneas. Reason for that, somewhat similar to Groudon over here. In 2016, I wanted to run a Zerndon team, although I did prefer to try and use Rayquaza, and I never really got to go to any events. I had built a Xerneas set that could survive a Poison Jab and forego Power Gem for leftovers, so that if I made it to the long game, I just couldn't get knocked out. It was like, I think it was all in on like physical bulk with like speed control. I can't remember the set, but it was like ludicrously good. It was probably the best set I ever cooked in any way, shape, or form. It was just ridiculous. And I went like undefeated on the battle spot ladder in game. Although that doesn't really mean anything because nobody ever knew and I didn't get to go to any events. And so it just doesn't exist, basically. But yeah, like Xerneas is really fucking cool. It's overpowered. And sometimes overpowered is just cool. Honorable mention, Mega Altaria. I want to use it more. And moving on. Gimmick form, Mega Rayquaza. Legend, Mega Rayquaza. Favorite overall. Well, would you look at that? It's Mega Rayquaza. How many times has Rayquaza or Mega Rayquaza been picked on here? Well, since it's been an option in a lot of slots. Yeah. Moving on to Generation 7. I don't really care for most of these normal types, but Silvally is at least cool as a design. I don't dislike a lot of these. Toucannon, Beware, Drampa. They're okay. But Type Null and Silvally are definitely going to take the cake for this category. Quadruped, based on Arceus. Mad science experiment that has had a life of pain that just needs a lot of love and friendship and deserves all the love and friendship in the world. The anime arc where Lily realizes that Silvally was trying to protect her and stuff, never trying to attack her. Yeah. Fire type from Generation 7. Ooh, it's between Blacephalon and Incineroar. I really like Torracat just because, imagine a universe where Incineroar is on 4 legs and not 2. Until competitive, outside competitive, I never really chose Incineroar. I actually went with Poplio and Sun, and then in Ultra Sun I chose Decidueye. I probably regret that now, to be honest. I do like how Primarina was able to spam water moves and fairy moves and just sweep through the game with good bulk and a really good special attack of I think it's 126. It might be better. I don't remember, but What I don't like is how slow the trio is, but obviously Incineroar is one of the best. I think I'm going to go with Incineroar here, honestly. Even though I don't really use it outside of competitive. Incineroar is just the GOAT for a reason. Moving on to water types. Toxapex is obviously good, but I don't really like it myself. I didn't really use Feeny. I was more of like a Lele Coco hyper offense guy. Ash Greninja is always pretty cool, but it's between Ash Greninja and Primarina here. And as I did just voice like my regret over not using Incineroar in the Linton line, because at least up until Torracat it's adorable. I think I'm going to go with Ash Greninja after all here, but it's not a strong opinion. For grass type, it's Kartana. I don't need to explain that one to you. Just sweep through things with a base 181 attack stat and a decent 109 defense or 109 speed. I know it dies to any special attack, but there's the Assault Vest set that actually kind of sort of works a little bit. But usually you just slap a Choice Scarf on it and clear the game. Even in competitive, you just don't even need to try. So yeah, there's that. Electric types, I mean, I like Xurkitree, but it's got to be Tapu Koko. I just mentioned the hyper offense. For the ice type, it's Alolan Ninetales by a billion, and in fact, it's Alolan Ninetales by such a billion. Ugh, man, I might not be able to finish this video. But it's Alolan Ninetales by such a billion that we're going to put it as the fairy type as well. Looking at the sprites, I don't think that's incorrect. Fighting type. I think it's Buzzswole, honestly. I don't really feel strongly about Kommo-o, or I didn't even see the Marshadow movie. I don't think I've ever clicked Spectral Thief outside of Pokemon Showdown in Ranbats. Pheromos is really cool and strong, but like it's not sort of my cup of tea there. Neither is Beware or Crapominable. I don't care much for Passimian, and for that matter, I don't really care for Buzzwole either. But I think I like it slightly better than the rest. Poison type, easily Naganadel. And the funniest thing is that I hate wasps, and I am like terrified of anything with a stinger. But I think that's what drew me towards Naganadel, just because. Not only you get the Poipole and it's super cute, but like, this thing is actually just a fucking beast, you know? A poison dragon. Just, hey fairy types, you're dead. I've got Flamethrower for steals. Dragon go burr. And what status moves, what set of moves does it get? I know it does get status moves. But it's been a while since I used Naganadel, but it's definitely my favorite poison type of the gen. Honorable mention to Alolan Muck for just being an absolute beast of a dark poison, and I don't dislike Neolago, Toxapex, or Salazzle. I just don't really feel strongly about them. My favorite ground type of this generation is actually Zygarde 10%, just because it's like I mentioned earlier, the dog. It's fast. It's usable. It's obviously the weakest, but like I fucking love its dog design. Like in Generation 6, I was like, I don't really feel good about Zygarde. You know, I don't really care for it that much. Dog. Fast dog. You know, change my opinion real quick. Flying types. Celesteela here for me. I don't like Big Stall usually, but like combining it with Umbreon, you got Leech Seed, you got just the sheer versatility of the set and how insanely difficult it is to take down as a Flying Steel. Gotta respect it, gotta love it. Psychic type. I like Lele a lot. I like Solgaleo, Duskmane. But honestly, just Ultra Necrozma hits different. Light that burns the sky being like a 45 to 50 second animation that just like... It's just ridiculous, man. Everybody remembers that fucking first fight with it coming out of nowhere. Because, like, the game didn't... I mean, I'm pretty sure I remember it getting leaked and stuff, but the spoilers were super easy to avoid for whatever reason, so when you got to this fight, it was just like, what the fuck? And then you just, like, got swept by it because it got the Omni boost and it just clicked the nuke button and beat your whole team, even if you knew what you were doing. So you like had to like actually plan for it. It was hype as shit, and yeah, fucking hype. Moving on to my bug type favorite. I don't feel strongly about any of these. I mean, Vikavolt's cool. We mentioned Bolswell a little bit ago. Rabombi's probably gonna be my pick. You've got Quiver Dance and Sticky Webs for like draft reasons, but I do not feel strongly about it. Moving on. Rock type, baby. I'm going to go with Duskform Lycanroc, but I could also put Midday here. Pokemon's first, like, 100% actual wolf. You know, Mightyena is a hyena, Arcanine's a dog. Absol is kind of wolf-like, but it's not actually based on a wolf. And then they finally made wolf. Like, actually straight up, indisputably a wolf. And I was like, finally! Not something that's just kind of like a wolf, but actually is one. Moving on. I like Blacephalon. I like Decidueye. I'm just not strong opinion on that. Mimikyu's fun. I don't care for Marshadow because I haven't really used it at all. I'm going to go with Lunala here, even though I haven't really used it. And then we're going to move on from that. Come on. Can I? Of course, I can scroll wheel. There we go. Dragon type. I think I'm actually going to go into Ganondel here. Although, honorable mention here to Zygarde 10%. We did just mention how hype Ultra Necrozma was. That said, it's just really not a huge competition here. Yeah, it's really not a huge competition. Dark types, it's between Ash Greninja and Incineroar here. I think I'm going to go with Ash Greninja just because, like, it's more my play style to, like, click the attack move as opposed to win the game with Intimidate, Cycling, and Fake Out support. But Incineroar is better. Don't get it twisted. It's just more my style. The fast, sleek, hyper offense mon. Moving on to Steel type, it's going to be Kartana again for a similar reason. We already went over Fairy type being Alolan Ninetales. Starter. I think it is Primarina over Incineroar. Again, it's not by much. Regional variant, Alolan Ninetales for the gimmick slot, easily. And then my favorite Gen 7 Legend. I mean, Gen 7 is really not an easy thing to pick for me. I could go Lele, could go Ultra Necrozma. I don't feel strongly about any of these to even pick with any consistency, so I'm going to go with Zygarde 10% for the slot, actually. And then favorite overall, I think this one is easily Lycanroc for my favorite overall. Just there was the one slot I could pick it in, whereas things like Ninetales Alolan had like multiple slots and all that jazz, where it was like a clear winner for me. Moving on to Generation 8. Really don't care for most of these, so we're going to go with Gigantamax Eevee here. Moving on to Fire types already. Hisui and Arcanine. I love Hisui and Typhlosion. Gigantamax Charizard, though, I didn't really use any of the Gigantamaxes because, unfun fact, I didn't really care for Gen 8 VGC because I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to any events, and I just really did not care for the Gigantamax and Dynamax mechanics. But Hisui and Arcanine. It's just Arcanine with Head Smash and Rock Stab and Rock Slide, and it's just really cool. For the water types of Generation 8, it's between Dracovish and Inteleon for me, because I picked Sobble as my starter, and the reason I did was because I didn't want to get spoiled on the game, but I did want knowledge of what the most hyper offense-ish one would be going into the gen, so I'm like, hey, friend, without spoiling the information on the starters, can I get like their final stats? And Inteleon was the fastest, and so I went with that. Um, I mean, snipe shotting through the entire game was super easy. Like, I think I switched Inteleon out of my lead slot like one time. For the most part, I just clicked snipe shot on against every single Pokemon in the game and won. Things had to change for Ryan's double battle in the gym leader fight, but yeah, Inteleon went Burr. Dracovish was just so much more fun to go Burr with though, and I'm looking forward to my next time using it. Man, I'm really starting to feel sick here. Favorite grass type? Probably Rillaboom now. Uh, it definitely wasn't then, but I've been using it in competitive in Gen 9 here, and I'm enjoying using it. Not much to say about it. Let's move on before my voice just like completely gives out and I throw up all over my desk. We're almost there. Push through. I like Bolt Hunt just because it's a dog. Getting back to that four-legged electric type archetype here. Ice type. I think it's Galarian Darmanitan, honestly, just being able to sweep through stuff with hyper offense and its ability to go like fire ice. Really unique. Fighting type. I like Urshifu enough, but I don't know why there's two Zamazenta crowns. I'm going to go with Zamazenta. I mean, I don't think I need any explanation. It's a wolf. It's bulky as hell. It's a legendary. It's super cool. It's surpassed Zacian. Um, Moving on, poison types. I'm going to go with Eternatus just because of how crazy this thing is. Another poison dragon for the second generation in a row here. I don't like its design too much, but I do think that, objectively speaking, it's pretty badass. It's like this hollow bone dragon. The poison typing is... I'm not sure what to think of it. Like, if it's like a commentary on like harnessing energy being like harmful for the environment with the whole Chairman Rose arc and stuff, or what, or if it's because like killing the fairy tales of the fables of the Galar region or whatever. But I don't know. Out of these options, I'm not a huge fan of fucking Toxtricity or Sneasler. Not that they're bad or anything. I could have gone with Venusaur here, but again, I didn't really use the Gigantamaxes that were setting up easy wins. Moving on, ground type. We'll go with Ursaluna here. It's a layup by proxy of me not liking the rest of them at all. Flying type. For a second, that was Steel. We'll go ahead and go with Charizard here, just because I don't like the rest nearly as much. Psychic type. I haven't really used it, but Calyrex Shadow Rider goes Burr, so it's pretty head and shoulders above the rest. Also, like, I do like fast hyper offense, special attacker, spam psychic, and astral barrage. So I'm looking forward to using it. Probably going to be easy to do so in the next double restricted format, which is probably Regulation H, but we won't see that until like later. Finally, we reach Cleavor. It's a layup for me. I don't care for Orbeetle. I have friends who do. I do like Frostmoth from a design perspective and the ability to Quiver Dance Sweep with like ice coverage, but obviously its typing is bad. I don't dislike it. It's just Cleavor is so much better. Even though Cleavor is like sort of underpowered compared to a lot of stuff, I did like that brief period of time where you could like Rocky Helmet Terra Water to counter Urshifu, and it'd be like, oh wow, free kill with my Urshifu. Oh wait a second, I've just taken like half of my life in recoil damage from Rocky Helmet. My opponent's taken almost nothing because they terrestrialized into a water type with decent physical bulk. They've set up Stealth Rocks on my side with Stone Axe, and it was enough to pick up the knockout because I got rid of my fighting resistance to Terra Water for this. And now that we're both Terra Water, it's actually going terribly for me. And the Stone Axe knocks out Urshifu, and I've got Hazard set up, and I'm like just straight up ahead. Like that was a really nice start to the gen. But between Cleavor and Arcanine for rock types, we're going with Arcanine again. I've already explained it. I love Arcanine, and it's just Arcanine with Rock Slide and Head Smash. Ghost type. I think this is a slot I can give to Hisui and Typhlosion. It's just Typhlosion with grass or with ghost coverage, and that's really cool. Immunity to fighting types and normal types is good. I don't like the addition of the weakness to Sucker Punch, whereas Typhlosion could previously maybe still click Eruption against a Sucker Punch user. Like, that's just completely not an option at all. But like, I do just like Typhlosion Hisui more than base form Typhlosion, and I definitely picked it as my starter in Legends Arceus, and 10 out of 10 would again, no notes. Starting at delirious now, I think. Favorite dragon type of Generation 8. I do like Eternatus, I do like Gudra, I do like the origin forms of Dialga and Palkia a little bit. I think I'm going with Dracovish here, though. Dark type of the generation. I wanted to put Thievul here so much when I first saw Nickit. I'm like a little dark type fox. They couldn't possibly ruin it, and then they're like, let's give it a mustache. And then that just went right out the window. I don't care for Grimmsnarl. Don't care for the Linoon Galarian line. Don't care for Zarude. And I prefer the water form over Shifu to the single strike form, although I do like it. I think this is actually going to go to Galarian Moltres just because like I like special attacking dark types for whatever reason. And I just think it's a really cool design. We move on to Steel, Zacian. It's not really a competition. I like the sleeker sword better than that one. So we'll go with that sprite. Basically, this is one of my top 10 favorite Pokemon of all time now, and it was basically just like a prophecy. If you went to little kid me and was like, hey, if there was ever going to be a Pokemon that you would love more than Espeon and Umbreon, what would it be? And I'd be like, it would probably be like a legendary wolf with a sword in its mouth. And then they made that a real thing with Sword and Shield, and I know people didn't like Zacian and Zamazenta. I loved them, though. I mean, you're giving me, like, night wolves. Like, this was like my little kid inner child's dream come true. And so I absolutely love it. I love it. I love it. I don't care that it's power crept into oblivion. I wish they didn't nerf it because I love it so much. And it's my favorite fairy type of the generation as well. I fucking love Zacian. That said, it hasn't, like, surpassed Sceptile, Rayquaza, Espeon, and Umbreon. But I could very easily see it someday surpassing most of them for, like, third place or something. I could see it passing Lycanroc and Absol. But for now, it's, like, 8th favorite of all time, I think. Favorite starter of the generation? Probably Hisui and Typhlosion, honestly. I mean, Rillaboom's good. I picked Inteleon as my starter and Sword. And Cinderace is good. I just prefer Hisui and Typhlosion to the rest of them. Excuse me, god dang it. I am really starting to feel unwell. Power through, power through. Gimmick form, Hisui and Arcanine. Legendary, Zacian. Favorite of the generation, Zacian. Moving on to Generation 9. Favorite normal type of the gen. I don't feel strongly about any of these, honestly, but I'm going to go with Farigiraf. Just because I love the fact they gave Giraffe Rig an evolution and that it's actually incredibly good in competitive Pokemon by stopping priority moves, having decent bulk, being an adequate special attacker. It's just a great partner. Trick Room Setter, all that. I don't need to give you the sales pitch. Fire type of Generation 9. I do like Skeledirge. I didn't pick it. I went with Meowscarada. Chi-Yu is awesome. Scovillain I like enough just for giving us a fire grass type. But I'm going to go with Gouging Fire. Goading Fire. If you know, you know. Yeah, moving on. I really like Palafin. I was on Dozo to start Regulation E, and I was doing really fucking good with it. Split a split a series of 2 matches with Konkeldonk. One of my better VGC wins is against him for sure. Of course, he beat me first, so that was sort of like a revenge match. Iron Bundle's cool enough to be like the superior Dullabird form, but honestly, I gotta go with Walking Wake here. Honorable mention to Ogre Pawn here. I'm going with Walking Wake just because of how cool it is. It's just offensive Suicune. You don't need to give me the sales pitch on that. Meowscarada by far. I mean, Ogre Pawn is definitely a viable candidate for this slot, but we go with Meowscarada. Grass Dark. It is the Magician Pokemon. It's a cat, and wouldn't you know? There's another cat that's a magician. It's Morgana from Persona 5, the Magician Arcana, and I nicknamed my Meowscarada Morgana because I also got my cat named Morgana after Morgana from Persona 5. So it's just everything feeding into a loop back into each other, reinforcing that. Electric type from Generation 9. This one's easily Raging Bolt. So we've got the Johto trio in Paradox form. I don't need to explain this to anyone who's familiar with them. Super overpowered, super badass, super good design. Long neck, people might think it's derpy to have the long neck. I just don't care. I think it's cool. For the ice type, I'm going to go with Baxcalibur narrowly over Qianpao. I've been using Qianpao way more in competitive, but I love Baxcalibur just being a nuke button with Ice Dragon typing. I named mine Baxter after my family's late cat from, that cat, I fucking love that cat. And I caught a legit shiny hunting one in the game. And it's very difficult to see on the screen that it's a shiny. So I never shiny hunt either. So I put in some love and effort into acquiring a shiny Baxcalibur. That said, I haven't really used it in my competitive runs, and for good reason, because Qianpao's just better. But yeah. Moving on, fighting type. I am melting. I'm going to open the window. Whew. Fan getting some fresh air in here. Oh, I think I'm going to check my bank account and go buy ice cream down the street. Oh my goodness. I'm burning up now. Power through. I'm going to go with Koraidon here. Narrowly beating out Iron Hands and Great Tusk and stuff. It's just super strong, and being able to set up Sun for not only chlorophyll users, not only solar power users, not only just fire type teammates, but itself, and then all the photosynthesis mons, just super overpowered. I picked Scarlet over Violet, and so I'm going to stand by that. Although, let's be real, Miraidon is so fucking good as well. There's a reason it's like top of the competitive metagame. Poison types, I like Glimora. I'm going to give this one to Iron Moth just because of how powerful it is. I know it's frail and difficult to make it work, but like it is a nuke button. Ground types, I'm going to actually give this one to Tinglu. I haven't really used it a lot, but it's so immensely bulky that I'm looking forward to actually running a legit stall team with it. Flying types, I do kind of like Bombardier, but I haven't really used it with the Rocky Payload. I definitely think it's underexplored, but it's going to remain underexplored because I don't think it's remotely usable in a format full of restricted legendaries, and Landorus has been power crept, so like, it's just, there's not an environment for it right now. I'm going to go with Iron Jugulus, even though I haven't really used it myself. Psychic types, I like most of these. I'm going to go with Farigiraf, narrowly over the Paradox Sword Trio. Bug types, I'm enjoying using Lockix since I have a shiny and Pokerogue, but honestly I'm just going to go with Slitherwing because I think Slitherwing really is underexplored. Not to hop on the on the bandwagon. I forget which commentator it is, but she's constantly putting Slitherwing at the top. I do agree that it's underexplored. You got First Impression. Photosynthesis is very easy to activate in a format with Koraidon and Groudon. You can Scarf it as well if you want to. Flare Blitz, Close Combat. It's definitely underused, underrated, and underexplored. That said, I just don't think it's worth trying out at the moment. But I look forward to it eventually becoming a very good Pokemon and being like, what? Slitherwing is good. And like, yeah, welcome to the fucking club, pal. Rock types. I did like using Garganacl Stall toward the beginning. And as it's gone on, I've just found myself being annoyed being paired up against it from time to time. I'm thankful that it's decreased in usage. It's one of those mons that I'd just rather not see. And to that end, I would rather not contribute to its usage in the metagame. I think Iron Boulder is... I haven't really gotten a chance to use Iron Crown, Iron Boulder, or Iron Leaves, but I think someday I'll probably pick it as my favorite out of these. But for now, it's probably going to have to go to Gilmora. Iron Thorns is cool. I haven't really explored Cornerstone Ogerpon yet. But I do like Ogerpon enough to just jam it here. But I think Gilmora is more fun and better. Ghost types. We got Goldango, Skeleturge, Annihilate, Houndstone, Fluttermane, Sinistcha, Pekarunt, Bramblegast. I think I'm going to go with Fluttermane just because of how much I've used it. With Goldango being close behind, and honorable mention to Skeleturge and Annihilate, I am starting to get concerned that I am going to pass out from a heat stroke. But I'm going to push on. Alright. Dragon types. We've got the box art legendaries. We've got the Paradox Johto trio. And Roaring Moon. Secretly, I think Roaring Moon is just so fucking cool. I haven't really used it myself, but I do think it's just badass and cool. Dark type. Gonna go with Meowscarada here. Steel type. I can finally put Kingambit here with Goldango as my runner-up there. Fairy type. I'm gonna go with Fluttermane again. I've actively been using it, and it's so fucking good. I don't need to explain that to anyone for the most part. Meowscarada takes the starter slot here. The regional variant. I'm going to go with Sinistcha, even though I've barely touched it for the gimmick form. Although, I could put... Actually, I'm going to go with Terrastal Ogerpon. My brain is just rotting right now. Terrastal Terrapagos. I mean, Terra Stellar with an observatory on your back as like a world turtle sort of thing. Like, I love that design. Legendary. I'm going to have to pick between Qianpao and Chiyu. And I think I'll narrowly go with Qianpao over Chiyu. But this is subject to change. And then my favorite overall is probably Meowscarada. Finally, to wrap it up, my favorite normal type out of all these. I can pretty confidently go with Swellow here. My favorite fire type. I think it's still Charizard, but don't be surprised if someday it's like Hisui and Arcanine or something else. What? My cat is now screaming at me. What's the problem? What do you need? I've kicked him out of my room, but just for a little while, so I can finish the video. Let's try and speedrun this here. Suicune's my favorite water type overall. Sceptile's my favorite grass. Moving on to the electric types. I'm going to need a second to think about this one. Mega Electric just isn't very good. I do like it. Jolteon, Radiant Volt. I think it's Jolteon. Not a strong pick there. But yeah, Gen 3 Manectric could be stronger in my opinion, as far as like my preferences are concerned. Favorite ice type is definitely Alolan Ninetales. Runner up for that slot is probably Aurorus. Fighting type of all time, I'm going to go with Lucario, but don't be surprised if someday the slot goes to Zamazenta. And we'll pick Mega Lucario for that slot. Poison type of all time. I'm gonna. I'm gonna go with Naganadel. It's just a super cool part dragon OP, and it sort of helps me face my fear of wasps and stuff. Although, I promise you, I have a long ways to go. If you ever see me interact with a wasp IRL, I'm going to be the biggest wuss in the world. But I feel like with Naganadel, I might someday overcome it. Ground types. I am gonna go with Groudon. I'm a Gen 3 boy, so I think that gives it the push. Favorite flying is definitely Mega Rayquaza. Psychic is Espeon. Bug is Cleavor. Yeah, that's correct. Favorite rock is Lycanroc, with the runner-up being Hisui and Arcanine, with Tyranitar and Aurorus close behind. Did I just misname one of those and not even realize what it was? I hope not. I've already done that multiple times now. For Ghost, I'm going to narrowly give it to Hisui and Typhlosion, with Fluttermane being very close behind. Dragon, Mega Rayquaza. Dark type, Umbreon. Steel type is Zacian. Fairy type, Zacian. Grass type is Sceptile. Gimmick form is Mega Rayquaza. Favorite legendary is Mega Rayquaza. And my favorite, just period, full stop, all time, Espeon and Umbreon. And since I already went with Espeon earlier, Umbreon will get the slot honorably. Favorite Spinda? What the fuck is that slot doing here? Espeon and Umbreon and Mega Rayquaza and Sceptile. And then these two slots here are the most difficult for me to pick, because it's like a several way tie that I really need to try and evaluate between Absol and Charizard and Suicune and Zacian and maybe Meowscarada and Lycanroc. It's really not easy to decide here. I think my nostalgia for Absol is strong enough to give it the 5 slot. Alpharad is based for liking Absol as his favorite Pokemon. Just super based opinion there. I'm gonna grab Mega Absol. There it is. Why is that shit glitching now? I guess I'll click Vanilla Absol. What's happening now? Well, my favorite regional Burt. I just gave you like a list of mons that could go in that slot as is. It's glitching now, and I need to go buy ice cream to stop having whatever the hell this heat wave is. Swallow, Rayquaza, Mammal. I don't know what that entails. Oh, these. That's going to be Furret. Regional Bug. No strong opinion. Ultra Beast is Kartana, with Naganadel close behind. Favorite Mythical. easily shame in there. I've always wanted to use it. I mentioned that earlier. Paradox form, hard to pick just one with how good they all are, but I'll go with Roaring Moon narrowly. Favorite pseudo legend, honestly, Salamence. I know it didn't get any picks because Rayquaza was in most of those slots. Whatever. Favorite Pika clone. We'll give this one to the infamous Pachirisu. Favorite type, it's probably Psychic or Dragon. I'll go with Psychic for now. My favorite Pokeball, hard to pick. Evolution, Espeon and Umbreon. We'll give Umbreon that one there. Regional form, probably a Ninetales, honestly, over the Hisuian Arcanine. Just because I could go with the Cantonian Arcanine slightly more than the Ninetales, but like what they did with Alolan Ninetales, I like so much more. This site sort of sucks as far as like the formatting and shit popping up is concerned, and me having to scroll around awkwardly and things getting like that. Extrapolate from there. My health is in jeopardy, I think, so I'm going to call it there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with my weird ramblings about my favorite Pokemon. Have a good day.